Hello and welcome to another one of my videos, and in this one I'm actually going to be upgrading the radio system in my Hyper 7 from a 27MHz system to a 2.4GHz system. There's a number of reasons for this. One, the radio equipment that comes with most cars out of the box isn't that good, and the transmitter fell apart over the years. I've been playing with it to a point where you couldn't really use it anymore. Secondly, power consumption. These 2.4GHz systems, like this one, instead of using the normal 8 batteries which the old system used in the transmitter, just uses 4, and those 4 last forever because I've already got another system on my T-Max and the batteries haven't run out for a year now, and I have been using it quite a lot of times and they're still going strong. So power consumption is a great up. With this one I've also got a rechargeable battery pack on, and the receivers actually use a lot less energy as well. Along with that, they've also got a jumping system. Most 2.4GHz systems have an auto-tune function. So basically, normally if you had one of these systems that I've got in this car, you would have to carry around a bunch of crystals, which I've got in here. So if somebody was on the same frequency as you, either you or them, would have to take the receiver out, change the crystal in that, changing the remote so you didn't actually clash with the frequencies. With this system, all you have to do is switch your remote on, bind the receiver to the transmitter, and if you're with other people, it'll automatically find which channel's free. And another up with this system is I've got 4 receivers in this pack, and I bought an extra 3. So I'm going to be controlling 4 models off the one remote, and I can save it in the memory. It's got a 10 model memory, so 1 transmitter for 4 vehicles if I want to. So just saves money and also saves faffing around with batteries and other remotes and things like that. So first off, we're going to just take this receiver out of this car and compare it with the one in the box. And I shall do that now, and when I get to the point I'll show you what this new system's like. So first off, with the Hyper 7s, you have to take off the air filter because the air filter is actually mounted onto the top of the receiver box, which is just here. So this should just come off like that. And we've also got the aerial here, which we'll need to pull out once the receiver's free. So this one's actually a good receiver box. I'm wanting to see if the Hyper, the new Hyper 7 TQ2 receivers, receiver boxes and battery boxes will fit on this, because they look a lot neater. And I've got a sneaky suspicion the radio tray is the same and the bottom's the same, so I might be able to do that. So I'm going to do a bit of research, and if I can, I'm going to replace this, because the new systems are all encased where the battery's actually open to the elements, which, if any water gets in, is a bit of a pain. So anyway, taking out the screws should reveal my little transmitter in here. And yes, we do, and there's quite a lot of wires in here because we've got a transmitter and a failsafe as well. So first off, we're going to have to disconnect all these cables and pull the transmitter out. So we'll just disconnect you, disconnect the servos, and pull the aerial out the box. So this is the old style transmitter here. As we can see, we've got the crystal there. Pretty simple, and a big long aerial. Now, if I go into the box of the new transmitter, I can get one of the new receivers out. And if we get the one that actually came with the remote, which is this one, this is actually waterproof as well, which is an up. We can see, if I compare this receiver with the old one, there's quite considerable size difference there, in thickness and in width and height. It's quite a vast difference actually. And another thing with this system, there's a failsafe built into the receiver, so I don't have to put this failsafe back into the car. So that means I can take this off. I'm going to find where it is. There we go. So I can actually take this out, put it in a box just in case I ever need it again. I've actually got 3 of these now because I don't need them. I'm upgrading. These have all got fail safes in. Don't need to do anything. So this is going into my spares box if ever needed again, which I doubt. So first off, we have to bind this transmitter, or receiver I should say, to the transmitter. Now, the way we actually do this is in the pack we get a binding cable, and the way we use this is we get the remote out, which, if you just bear with us 2 seconds because the box is full of plastic like always. We get the remote out, stick it on the floor, there's my remote, and we need to stick some batteries in. I've got 4 rechargeable batteries here which should have charging, touch wood. Stick the 4 batteries in, and then we should be all set. And there we go, we have 1 transmitter. Now this is working now, and the next thing we're going to have to do is, I'll switch this off for the time being, is supply power to the actual receiver itself, and also put the bind cable in. Now what the bind cable does is you put it in the bind channel, which is that one here, if I get the right way around, there we go. You put the bind cable in the bind channel, and then you put the battery cable into any other remaining ports. So I'll stick it in the one underneath and switch it on, and then we get a blinking light. Now what that blinking light is basically saying this receiver is looking for a remote to bind to. So what we do now is we place that to the side and switch our remote on. And on this remote there's a little button just here which says bind. So if I press this now, we should be able to get a binding of the 2, which we're not getting. So why is that? And maybe this might be me being thick. Press bind and switch it on. There we go. So you press the bind button as you switch it on and it goes like that. It depends which system you got, but that's the way this one works. So now that receiver there is bound to this remote, and it's as simple as that. So now we've got that, we can now call the car a name. So we'll go to name, enter, enter, and we can call it whatever we want. So because it's a hyper, we'll go there. Can we move along? Yes. So we'll just put hype in there, just so I know which one it is. I'm going to find where P is. There we go. So we'll call that hype, and that's model number 0, and that's it. This model is now totally on this car here, and I've set it as model 0. So now with that done, the next stage is to set everything back up. So that's removing the bind. We shall take the battery out, and we can stick the battery now into there like that. And that should now work. So if you give us 2 seconds, I'll just put all the ports back in and I shall see. Okay, so I've now got my system all wired up here. Receiver. Solid light means it's actually connected fully to the transmitter. Now what I'm going to do is set up the failsafe, and basically the way we do this is exactly the same. You would set up the failsafe as a standalone one. You set the brake, so we've got the actual transmitter here all set up. We set the brake, and as we set the brake there's a little button in here which you press and it'll flash, stop flashing, and that should be it set. So if I switch the transmitter off, we should get it fully braking, which it does. Switch the transmitter back on, we've got that fully working. Got that fully working. That's basically it. And if I recall, there should be a very small antenna straw here. That's another thing about these systems. You don't have a big long antenna to deal with, which always got in the way and you kept losing the straws and stuff. It's tiny. It's tiny. And like I say, this system's actually waterproof. It's so you don't have to worry about your water and anything getting in the electronics. So next, if we just switch it all off, switch you off, we'll start putting it all back in. Stick the antenna through here like so. We then place the receiver. I always like to place the receiver flat on the bottom just to try and minimise movement, and use the cables as like a cushion. And we then just place the lid back on. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Stick the antenna on the top, just goes into there, and reset. The antenna's a bit small for the hole, like, but we can pad that out with a bit of tape or something. But for the time being, I'm more than happy with that. Always keep the binding cables, just in case you ever need to bind it again. And if you were doing this again, from reading the instructions, what you do is, if you wanted to bind another receiver to that remote, you switch it on, change the channel on the remote, switch it back off, and then do the same process, and it'll bind the receiver to the channel which is set on the remote. And there we go, we have a fully working car. So this Hyper 7 is now ready for running, well, running in procedure, which will be in the next video hopefully. And I just have to do this binding procedure on another 3 cars, which shouldn't be too much trouble. It's if it's the first time you're doing it, it is a bit of a confusing process, but once you get the hang of it, you're kind of all sorted and done. And like I say, these 2.4 gigahertz systems are far superior to the older style megahertz systems. They're just, the signal's crispy, you won't get any interference. I've like I say, my Traxxas one I've had for, the one on my T-Max I've had for a bit, and there's just, you don't get any interference whatsoever. So yeah, that's the car back together. Next stage, breaking in. So I'll do that video next, well, tomorrow, because it's actually night now and I can't go out with it. So yeah, watch out for that video. I shall, as I always say, keep safe. I'm going to get sorted for bed now because it's pretty late, and I shall see you soon.